I'm 61 years old, and I need to tell you something I've never really said out loud, not to anyone who wasn't sitting right next to me. I lost my job because of one passenger. 22 years behind the wheel, 250,000 miles on Chicago streets, rain, snow, 3 in the morning, holidays I should have been home for. I gave that cab everything. And one night, one quiet night in July, I broke the only rule that mattered, and it cost me everything I'd worked my whole life for. My license, my contract, my income. Gone. One phone call at 9 in the morning, just like that. Now here's the part you need to hear. I don't regret it, not for a second. And that's what scares me when I look at people who are doing everything right, playing it safe, following every rule. Because I almost kept driving that night. I almost left her standing there. I almost chose the safe thing. And if I had, I'd still have my job. But I wouldn't have this peace. There's something worse than losing a career. It's living your whole life and never finding out who you really are. Stay with me. I want to tell you what happened. My name is Daniel. I grew up on the south side of Chicago. My father worked the docks. My mother cleaned offices downtown. 2 buses each way every single morning. Nobody in my family talked about careers or dreams or finding your passion. You worked, you came home, you did it again. I started driving a cab in 1989. I was 29 years old and Maria was pregnant with our first. We needed money. Not someday money, now money, this week money. So I got behind the wheel, and I stayed there for 22 years. I know Chicago the way most people know their own living room. I know which streets flood after an hour of rain. I know where the potholes come back every April no matter how many times the city fills them. I know the face of a person who just got bad news. The face of someone who's celebrating something they can't tell their family about. The face of someone who's been crying in a restaurant bathroom and hoping you don't notice. After enough miles, you stop just driving people. You start reading them. You learn things about human beings that no classroom teaches, no book explains. You learn it in the dark, in a car, at 2 a.m., when someone in the back seat thinks you're just a stranger they'll never see again. I spent 22 years being that stranger, and one night, it mattered more than I ever expected. You have to understand what that cab meant to our family. It wasn't just a job. It was the rent. It was groceries. It was my oldest daughter's school shoes and my son's asthma medication, and the small birthday cakes Maria managed to make stretch for 3 kids every year. We weren't struggling in a way that looked dramatic from the outside. We weren't behind on everything, but we were close, always close, one bad month away from close. And Metro City, the company I leased my cab from, they had one rule that stood above everything else. After 11 p.m., you do not pick up street fares. No exceptions. Dispatch only. If a camera caught you, if a supervisor got a call, if anyone reported it, you were done. Immediately. No appeal, no second chance. I knew drivers who got terminated for it. Good men. Careful men. Men who thought they were just helping someone for 5 minutes. Gone. For 22 years, I never tested that rule. Not once. I'd drive past people in the rain. I'd see someone waving from a corner and keep moving. I told myself it wasn't my problem. That the rule existed for a reason. And it did. But rules, they're written for the average situation. That night wasn't average. That night I turned off Navy Pier heading north, and the rain was just starting to pick up, and I saw her, standing under that overpass. A young woman, soaked through, no coat, no phone, just standing there, not waiting for someone, unraveling. I slowed down, rolled the window down. "Where are you headed?" She looked at me and said, "Anywhere." Her name was Emily, 24 years old. Her father had thrown her out that night. She'd refused an engagement he'd arranged. Her phone was taken, her purse left behind. She'd been standing under that overpass for 3 hours in the July rain. I asked, "Any friends? Family?" She stared at the windshield and said, "I had a best friend. She's gone now." I understood what she meant, and I didn't drop her at a motel, didn't leave her at a shelter. I took her home. I woke Maria up at 2:15 in the morning. I didn't explain much. I just said, "She needs a roof tonight." Maria didn't ask questions. She never did. I've had a lot of time to think about that night, about what it taught me, not just about Emily, about everything. And I want to be honest with you, because I think you need to hear this more than you need another list of motivational tips. The first thing I learned, rules will protect your job. They won't protect your soul. I followed every rule Metro City gave me for 22 years, and those rules kept me employed. But they also taught me to look away, to drive past, to make myself small so the company stayed comfortable. The night I stopped for Emily, that was the first time in 22 years I felt like I was actually driving somewhere that mattered. The second thing, the people who need you most will never be on your schedule. Emily wasn't dispatched to me. She wasn't on my route. She wasn't convenient. She was just there, soaking wet, falling apart at 1:47 in the morning on a Tuesday. And if I'd waited for the right moment, the safe moment, the approved moment, she wouldn't have had one. How many people have you driven past, not in a cab, in your life? Someone who needed 5 minutes of your attention and you were just too busy, too careful, too inside your own schedule. I drove past people for 22 years before I finally stopped. Don't wait that long. The third thing, Maria never asked me why. She just opened the door. I used to think I was the one who helped Emily that night, but honestly, it was Maria. A woman who had every reason to be angry, woken up at 2 a.m., no warning, no explanation, and she just made a bed. That kind of quiet grace, I didn't appreciate it enough for a long time. The people standing beside you through everything, make sure they know you see them before it's too late to say it properly. The 6 months after I lost my license, I don't talk about that period much. Maria sold her wedding ring. Not the band, the ring her mother gave her. The one she wore every single day since 1987. She sold it to a jewelry shop on Milwaukee Avenue without telling me. I found out when I noticed it was gone. I asked her about it one night. She just said, "We needed the month." That's it. That's all she said. And I sat there at our kitchen table in Logan Square and I couldn't speak. Because I realized this woman had been quietly holding everything together while I was falling apart, and she never once made me feel the weight of it. She never said, "I told you so." She never said you should have kept driving. Not once. And here's the thing that breaks me a little even now. I never told her enough. How much I saw her, how much she carried, how much of our life only worked because of her steadiness. We had more years together after that, good years, but there were things I should have said earlier, clearly, out loud, not assume she knew, not save for later, because later has a way of arriving as too late before you ever see it coming. If there is someone in your life holding things together quietly right now, please don't wait until you're sitting where I'm sitting to finally tell them. In July 2020, 9 years after that night, Emily found me on Facebook. She told me her son's name was Daniel. I read that message 4 times before it landed. A 3-year-old boy named after a cab driver who almost kept driving. You know what that feels like? It doesn't feel like heroism. It doesn't feel like a reward. It feels like relief. Like something you carried for years finally sets itself down gently. I'm 61 now. I still drive. Just myself, my old Camry, my city. And I want to leave you with this. Not as advice, not as a lesson, just as something true. You are going to have a moment. Maybe you've already had it and you drove past. Maybe it's coming next week on a Tuesday night when you're tired and it's raining and something inconvenient is standing right in front of you. And in that moment, every sensible rule you follow will tell you to keep moving. I'm asking you to slow down anyway. Not every moment asks something of you, but the ones that do, you'll know. Somewhere underneath all the noise and the schedule and the risk, you'll know. Don't talk yourself out of it. Some fares aren't paid in cash. Some journeys aren't measured in miles. And some lives only need someone willing to pull over. If this story stayed with you, share it with someone who's moving too fast right now. They might need to hear it more than you did. And if you want more honest stories from people who've lived long enough to know what actually matters, subscribe. We'll be here.